Hey guys, this is Jeremy from mensandgaming.net, here with Sean from mensandgaming.net, and our special guest, Caine Marshall, the one and only.
Thanks for being here, Caine.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, absolutely.
We're bringing you our first official tournament review. We're very excited. Today we'll be reviewing The Hunt, which was played last weekend. I believe it was the 9th and 10th of April. Let's get started, boys. We've got lots to talk about. We're going to be bringing you a 3-part series. Part 1 here, we're going to be discussing just general things about how the event went. Did it run smoothly? How did we enjoy it? Some special kind of mentions about some the community comp terminal that got started. Video 2 will be reviewing the top 3 lists, so that'll be interesting. We've got Michael Hamilton, Ben Zagami, and Jack Bowering finished third, so we'll be looking at those 3 guys' lists. And in the third part, we're going to each go through each round and discuss our own matchups and how our games went for those specific rounds. So let's get started with
a brief overview. Yeah. So yeah, the Hunt was, as Jeremy said, just happened. So it was a really unique event in that it was the first one that had like a really strong theme with some cinematics and whatnot, which were quite impressive. You know, like they've obviously put a lot of work in. Like Matt Antonelli being the tournament organizer and Jared Brehau both being co-TOs for that. So yeah, it was pretty good. Like they had some cutscenes at each round. There was a very strong storyline that followed through, and basically the player was trying to capture Cypher. So each player went on a bit of a mission, bit of a manhunt to go and catch the most elusive character in the 40k universe. So that was a bit of fun.
Yeah, a few rounds with Inquisitors and things like that.
Yeah. So there was a few really unique special rules and whatnot that came into play, as Cam was saying, with Inquisitors.
And you want to discuss how the Inquisitors are incorporated as ICs into the games?
Yeah, okay, so basically we were told to bring an Inquisitor model, something that we could paint up and convert up ourselves or whatever we needed to do. So we'd show up and put the Inquisitor on. Basically, you could put him into a unit. You weren't able to really detach him from the unit or anything like that, so it kind of was a little bit limiting in what you could do with the unit. But at the same time, you had a character running around. You had to protect him and try and get him across the table in certain missions and sort of things like that, like get him to the objectives, which were like ciphers, and basically just try and push around and use the Inquisitor to find where Cypher was in the game.
Yeah, he had quite a good stat line actually in a couple of
minutes. He had toughness 4.
It was T4, he had a power sword. I'm like, my orcs, he had a 3-up armor save. My orcs were loving it. It was awesome.
I'm pretty sure he had a plasma pistol as well.
Yeah, correct.
Yeah, it's interesting because I was running a Death Star and I found that having that extra model that had good stats was actually a huge thing.
3 wounds.
Yeah, he was juggling wounds. Yeah. And it was interesting because with the bonus, one mission he gave up bonus points when he died.
Yeah.
But your opponent getting those bonus points didn't affect you. So I used him, I sacrificially in one particular mission to protect another character. So it was very interesting and I offered a lot of tactical opportunities. So that was cool.
Yeah, I had a bit of a laugh. I managed to plasma pistol a Inquisitor with my Inquisitor that was the special rules. So he still did another Inquisitor. So yeah,
nice.
And it was free. No, it was good.
I have to mention this, and since we're talking about funny events, I actually had a situation where in my last game, and I know we're going to do the game reviews, but in the last game was a relic, and the relic was, you put a Cypher model in the middle of the board, and we were capturing Cypher, so the relic was, Cypher himself. On the last turn of the game, I captured the relic with no one else but Cypher himself. So I had my Cypher capturing Cypher, who wasn't actually Cypher. Yeah,
there's a bit of a plot twist at the end there.
Cypherception. Yeah. So let's discuss how did the event go in terms of logistics? Did it run smoothly? What do you think, Caine?
Yeah, I think it ran relatively smoothly. There was at one point 1 or 2 people that needed to probably enter their scores manually, but that might have been phone errors and things like that. Everything was pretty good. Ran smoothly, ran on time. Cool cinematics and stuff on the screens for all the different missions and so forth.
I think a lot of the players really enjoyed that immersiveness to it. It was pretty good.
I definitely think it's something that there should be probably more of in the scene.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think especially because in 40k, especially in the scene we're in, most of the people that attend tournaments are hobbyists and actually enjoy the fluff. Regardless of whether you might be an elder player, an orc player, whatever, Sisters of Battle, everyone kind of loves the 40k universe and we enjoy being involved in those kind of fluffy situation. So even if we're not necessarily an Imperium fan, we all think Space Marines are cool, right? So,
it's good. The event did run pretty smooth, as you said. Everything went to time. There might have been a couple small issues with the community comp terminal, which has just been released. I think Josh Diffie was the person behind that. He was there on the day, which was fantastic, and was able to get all the issues sorted out pretty quick, from what I understand. I think they were just minor tweaks. So, as I understand, it should be working pretty good for the next few events.
I think it was mostly people entering wrong scores and they didn't pair up.
Well, it's like any new system's going to have
basically
any new system's going to have bugs in it, of course. Like that's inevitable. But also, like I think it's as you say, people just adapting to a new system. Teething issues. But no, it worked quite well. I was very impressed with it. There's some really good features to it in that, like, you can literally just end your game and go with Smoko and enter your scores while you're having a Smoko. Like, that appeals to me.
Yeah.
And then if there was any issues, it would flag up on the TO's end and they could go and verify everything was alright. So I think that it's going to work quite well in the future. I think it's going to get a lot better.
I think it just kind of just makes things easier. It's just logistical support. So it's not saying that, you know, the old pen and paper method was terrible.
Yeah.
But that particular format just meant that sometimes you'd lose your sheet of paper, you'd have to spend a few minutes getting a new one. You know, if it went to the TO desk and there was a disagreement, it would have to be resolved afterwards. There were situations where people would, like, post-event be like, oh, that score was wrong. Mm-hmm. You know, whereas with this situation, you have that has to be approved by both players.
It removes like another step of it where it's possible for there to be human error. It just takes one layer out of the process.
And even if there was any human error, it pretty much got red flagged on the TO's computer. And
it's back to the player. It goes back to the player. Like, if you put your scores in wrong, you can't complain to the TO that your score's wrong because you put it in.
And if your opponent does make an error and you didn't pick up on it, then ultimately the onus was you. You had the opportunity to do it. So in some ways, you were responsible for not maintaining the game state and entering the scores as well. So
I thought it was very good. It was a very, very, very useful tool.
Yeah. So anyway, so I think overall it was obviously a very successful event. It was ITC ranked. I'm not sure how those rankings have been put in yet, but it definitely was an ITC event. So that'll be interesting to see how many points were awarded. But not quite sure as yet.
A few people got a bunch of free ciphers.
Yeah, so. And that's something that we should probably mention as well. Sean?
Yeah, you can do it if you'd like.
No, Caine, why don't you discuss it? Because you actually were involved in the painting of it.
Basically, Jared Briot from JB Painting painted up, I think it was about 20 one-off cipher models, basically small conversion work from the Dark Angel kits. And basically, the final round, which was the relic was cipher, as Jeremy already discussed. It's basically placed in the middle, and the winner got to keep it. So he got to take home a trophy of a little cipher.
We all get ciphers?
Yeah, we all got ciphers.
We all did.
We all got ciphers. How quaint.
I wouldn't give it up for the world, that cipher. It's great. But it's good because what Jared obviously did is not only does it support the narrative element of obviously Matt was part of this decision as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
But not only does it support the narrative element of the hunt, but you get a model that is actually really useful. Like, Cypher's a really useful model. Almost so many armies can use him, so it's really practical.
Yeah, I think there's only about 3 dexes that probably can't use him. So.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and in addition to that, though, like, people who may not have won or placed might have walked away empty-handed. They paid their entry fee. Half of them walked away with ciphers, which is another, like, a little bonus thing.
It's like a little really egg.
Mine's going straight to the pool room. It's a good model. Yeah.
Mine's on eBay.
Put it on my shelf.
Mine's on eBay for $50.
$50?
Check it out.
Gee whiz.
I'm just kidding.
You're undercutting me.
Just kidding. Not kidding. Anyway, I think that wraps it up, guys. So thanks for watching part 1 of this video. Linking into part 2 where we'll discuss the top 3 lists. Thank you.
Cheers.